Hello and welcome to the interview here on France 24. A shakeup on the board of Russia's most famous independent radio station has set off alarm bells. Many say the ouster of two top executives from Echo of Moscow Radio is a bid by the station's majority shareholder, the state-controlled gas giant Gazprom, to silence dissent, and this at a time when Vladimir Putin, a newly elected Vladimir Putin, is facing mass street protests. Now, Echo of Moscow, the station, insists it has no plans to change its editorial ways. But what if Putin has other plans? Well, my guest today, joining me here in Echo of Moscow's studios, is Sergei Buntman.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. You are the deputy editor, the number 2 guy here at Echo of Moscow Radio. You have been under a lot of pressure lately, and I will just remind our viewers that we saw something similar to this way back about 11 years ago when Gazprom shut down or basically bought out the NTV TV station. It was the only independent TV, and it's now state-controlled. Is this the beginning of that again?
It was the beginning, perhaps because it's not by Gazprom, but through Gazprom. Gazprom was a tool of this pressure on Echo Moscow. It's not the same situation as 10 years ago, because we have different rules, and the board of directors, it's this is not deciding of our editorial policy, because it's only chief editor who is deciding.
But your chief editor is a man named Alexei Venediktov, very well known in Russia, your boss. And Putin once told him, well, he used an expletive, which I can't say on the air, they do not have a very good relationship.
Yes, because Alexei Venediktov is criticizing Putin. He has been criticizing Putin for all those 12 years. And Putin is criticizing Echo Moscow. It doesn't mean that it is easy to close Echo Moscow, because we have for 17 years we have new rules, and the chief editor has to be elected by the whole team of journalists first. It's very difficult to close us.
But they've closed, in the years that Putin was in power, first as president, then as prime minister, we have seen one after another radio and TV stations that were independent shut down or made less independent. How have you done it? How have you remained the only really critical voice?
First, it was a chance for us because radio, it was the main target of the power. The main target, it was television. Television channels were. And the radio became very important in the last years. But we have different rules, I insist. And we insist on our independence. It's very important to insist and to resist.
You have everyone on your station. You have the nationalists, the far-right opposition. You have the far left. You do not. No one is out of your.
Yes, of course. It's obvious to invite everybody to listen to everybody. It's important not to be a political party radio station, but a national-wide and society-wide radio station.
Yet you are only heard in Moscow itself. You have, I believe, a little over 1 million viewers in Moscow.
Yes,
I presume on the internet you don't even know how many more viewers throughout Russia.
It's impossible to count. But we can count our visitors on our website is from 1 to 4 million people by day, and you have unique visitors 500,000 a day.
That's an enormous listenership. Obviously, people are really tuned into you. We have Putin now, newly elected, some say a crushing victory for him of the opposition, what little opposition there was. Are you a little scared now that he will be more emboldened to perhaps crack down on stations like your own?
I don't know. It's we have to see it, to see by acts. We have seen the act of intimidating the demonstration in Moscow after the elections. But, for example, the opposition has to be present in the streets, present in the political and social life. And I don't know. We don't have to be afraid of a father who will punish the opposition. We are citizens, and we felt as citizens for last month.
But look, we saw the protests this week in Moscow, the opposition protest saying, the protesters anti-Putin saying, we are the power, Putin is a crook. I assume you were saying similar things on your air, and you're going to continue saying the same things.
Yes, of course, because we are not saying those political slogans, for example, but we are inviting people, political people, of the power and of the opposition, just to discuss, to listen to them.
To fight it out on the air, to
Yes,
clash.
yes, of course. And then we have 1 million people in Moscow, and I don't know how much worldwide. And we have to give them information, to give them all the possibly opinions in the world. I think it's ambitious, but it's true. It's our everyday life.
What do you say of the argument that a lot of the people who voted for Putin, it's not that he's really that popular. They did it either out of fear. They don't want to return to the Yeltsin chaos, or they did it because they looked at the opposition and they said, who are those guys? They're nothing.
Yeah, you know, on the internet, somebody wrote, Putin is like Windows. Nobody likes, but it's usual. It's not. It doesn't. It doesn't need many effort to deal with, and it's some kind of inertia. It's some kind of not. I don't want to return to Yeltsin time. I don't want to return to communist time. And Putin is. But Putin. It was a destruction by Putin of the political life. We don't have political parties, real political parties. We don't have political life. We don't have real elections.
This was an illegitimate election, in your opinion.
I think it's not completely illegitimate elections, but with an enormous administration, Putin administration effort, it's an asymmetrical campaign. Yes.
Well, let's look forward a little bit here right now.
Yeah.
He got a large victory. Even his critics admit even if there was fraud, he probably still would have won in the first round. Is there going to be a shift in the next election? Are we still going to see the same opposition people? Is there going to be new contenders out there?
I hope not. I hope even before 2018, we'll have a new society if we insist. If Russian people, Russian citizens, insist on it to be present in the social and political life, not to be as lazy as usual in the political way, just to insist to create parties, create organisms, and small administrations in the cities.
So you do not buy this argument that Russia is really divided. It's two countries. You have those elite urban intellectuals, the people Putin dismisses, and then the rest of them all living in the mud in the Russian provinces.
You know, it's a very ambitious and very arrogant to divide people and to not to see the other part of Russian society, because in all the countries, for example, while the normal elections, the winner has 52% and 49% for the opposition. It's to divide the country. No, it's a dialogue. It's a dialogue of two parts of the society normally, and we want a normal life. We don't want to be an exotic country with the Tsar, with the lazy people and good Russians listening to their Tsar.
And I would assume you also don't want to be the exotic independent radio station. Presumably, you want to see some competition.
Yes, we are.
Do you have any?
we are in normal radio and normal media, and to be in a competition with other independent medias, and to have the whole picture, the whole image of the information and what is happening in the world, to be in competition with other normal independent media.
Has Putin ever been on your radio station?
Once before he became president, he was some responsible and officer.
Well, not when he was in the KGB.
No. It was after KGB, after being a deputy of St. Petersburg mayor, but before being a chief of FSB and president of Russia.
So he was not known really and widely known at the time. No one knew what he was.
Some responsible coming from St. Petersburg to Moscow, and a small topic about some problem of Russian tanks in Armenia. It was a small topic, and it was here.
And he hasn't returned since then. I presume that you have an outstanding invitation anytime he'd want to come on. What would you want to ask him today? What would be your first question that you'd have your journalist put to him?
I will ask him, because you want to change. You said you want to change the political system of Russia. In what way? frankly, in what way? And the election, the parliamentary election, you see they weren't fair. You see it. And if, for example, if we had a new political system, new political parties, why not to take elections before?
Why not have them before? Do you see Putin serving out his term very briefly? We have a few seconds.
Sorry.
Will he last to the end of this term to 2018, in your opinion? Very briefly.
I doubt.
The deputy editor of Russia's most famous independent radio station, you've heard it here, Sergei Butman, saying that he doubts that the newly elected president, elected with a crushing mandate against his opponents, will will last out another term. Thank you very much for being our guest today. And thanks to all of you for watching the France 24 interview.